Currents of Us, Episode 1. The train station in Chiang Mai was crowded with families, tourists, and students clutching tickets with nervous excitement. Thanakorn stood quietly near the platform, his suitcase neatly packed, his posture straight but his eyes betraying a swirl of emotions. He wasn't the type to show much. His friends back home often teased him for being the calm one, the boy who never raised his voice, who preferred listening to speaking. But today, even he couldn't hide the tremor in his chest. Bangkok was waiting, and with it, a life he had only imagined. Beside him, May was the opposite picture. Her laughter rang out as she waved dramatically at her parents, who were trying to hold back tears. She had always been the extrovert, the girl who could walk into any room and make it brighter. Thanakorn had known her since primary school, and though they were different in every possible way, their friendship had endured. She was the spark, he was the steady flame. Together, they balanced each other. "Come on, Thanakorn," May nudged him with her elbow, grinning. "Don't look so serious. We're not going to war. We're going to university. Business administration, big city life, freedom. Aren't you excited?" He gave a small smile. "I am. Just thinking." "You're always thinking," she teased, rolling her eyes. "That's why you need me. I'll make sure you don't get stuck in your head all the time." The whistle blew, and the train doors opened. They boarded, finding their seats among other students heading south. As the train pulled away, Chiang Mai's familiar mountains faded into the distance. Thanakorn felt a pang of homesickness already, but May leaned out the window, shouting goodbye to the city as if it were a person. He couldn't help but chuckle. This was the beginning of something new. The journey south was long, but May filled it with chatter. She talked about the food stalls she wanted to try in Bangkok, the clubs she wanted to join, the people she was sure they'd meet. Thanakorn listened, occasionally adding a quiet comment. He liked hearing her plans. It made the future feel less daunting. At one point, May pulled out a notebook and began sketching a list. "Okay, first week goals," she announced. 1. Eat at a night market. 2. Join at least one club. 3. Make at least 5 new friends. 4. Drag Thanakorn out of his room at least twice a week. He raised an eyebrow. "You're making goals for me now?" "Of course," she said cheerfully. "Left to your own devices, you just sit in the library all day. I'm saving you from yourself." He shook his head, amused. "Maybe the library isn't so bad." "Not when you're 20 and in Bangkok," she declared. "Trust me, you'll thank me later." When they finally arrived at Hua Lamphong Station, the sheer size of Bangkok hit them. The city was alive in a way Chiang Mai never was. Neon lights, endless traffic, skyscrapers towering above. Thanakorn felt small, but May's eyes sparkled. "This is it," she whispered, almost reverently. "Our new world." They parted ways to settle into their condos. Thanakorn's was modest, shared with 2 other students he hadn't met yet. May's was across town, a newer building with a view of the bustling streets below. Thanakorn dragged his suitcase into the condo lobby, where he was greeted by a cheerful receptionist. "Room 12B, she said, handing him the key. He climbed the stairs, heart pounding. When he opened the door, 2 boys looked up from the couch. One had a wide grin, messy hair, and was holding a game controller. "Hey, you must be the new roommate. I'm Kiet." The other was sitting upright, a book in his hand, his expression serious. "Anan," he said simply, nodding. Thanakorn introduced himself, feeling a wave of relief. They seemed welcoming, even if different. Kiet cracked jokes immediately, trying to make him laugh, while Anan asked about his background with polite formality. Thanakorn realized he had lucked out. These were good people. Meanwhile, May was unpacking in her condo. She hummed to herself, arranging clothes, when a knock came at her door. She opened it to find a girl with short, dyed hair and a mischievous smile. "Hi," the girl said breathlessly. "Sorry to bother you. I'm Dao, next door. Do you happen to have instant noodles? I just realized I don't have any and it's midnight." May blinked, then burst out laughing. "That's the best introduction ever. Come in, I've got plenty." Dao grinned, stepping inside. She looked around curiously, her energy filling the room. May felt an instant spark. Dao was bubbly, artistic, the kind of person who seemed to live in color. As they ate noodles together, May found herself leaning closer, intrigued. Dao explained she was a fine art student, always sketching, painting, or sculpting. "I'm terrible at cooking," she admitted, laughing. "So I survive on noodles and coffee." May grinned. "Well, lucky for you, I'm a business student. I can organize your noodle supply chain." Dao laughed so hard she nearly spilled her bowl. "You're funny. I like you already." That night, Thanakorn lay in bed, listening to the city outside. He thought about May, probably chatting away with her new neighbor. He thought about Kiet's jokes and Ainan's quiet intensity. For the first time, he felt like maybe he belonged here. Bangkok was overwhelming, yes. But it was also full of possibilities. And this was only the beginning. The next morning, Thanakorn woke early. He dressed neatly, checked his schedule twice, and left for campus. Kiet stumbled out of his room half asleep, muttering about breakfast, while Ainan was already prepared, his bag organized. They walked together, navigating the crowded streets. The university campus was sprawling, with modern buildings and green courtyards. Students milled about, chatting, laughing, rushing to classes. Thanakorn felt a surge of nerves, but Kiet clapped him on the shoulder. "Relax, man. We're all new here." Their first lecture was in a large hall. May waved from across the room, already surrounded by new acquaintances. Thanakorn sat with Kiet and Ainan, listening intently as the professor spoke about the foundations of business administration. He took careful notes, while Kiet doodled in the margins and Ainan highlighted key points. After class, May bounced over. "So, first impressions." "Interesting," Thanakorn said honestly. "Boring," Kiet declared. "Necessary," Ainan added. May laughed. "Perfect. We've got the whole spectrum covered." Over the next weeks, the four of them grew closer. They studied together in the library, ate lunch at crowded cafeterias, and explored the city on weekends. May dragged them to night markets, insisting they try every snack. Kiet cracked jokes constantly, making even the most stressful study sessions bearable. Ainan kept them grounded, reminding them of deadlines and responsibilities. Thanakorn listened, observed, and slowly opened up. One evening, they sat by the Chao Phraya River, watching boats drift past. May leaned back, sighing happily. "This is nice. Us, here, together. I feel like we're going to be friends for life." Kiet grinned. "As long as you keep feeding me, I'm in." Ainan gave a rare smile. "I agree. This feels right." Thanakorn looked at them, warmth spreading in his chest. He didn't say much, but he knew May was right. This was the start of something lasting. The first week in Bangkok was a blur of orientation sessions, crowded cafeterias, and endless paperwork. Thanakorn found himself overwhelmed by the sheer size of the campus. Chiang Mai University had been large, but this was different. Bangkok's university felt like a city within a city. Buildings stretched across blocks, lecture halls filled with hundreds of students, and the noise never seemed to stop. May thrived in it. She was already introducing herself to classmates, chatting with seniors, and signing up for clubs. Thanakorn admired her energy, though he couldn't imagine keeping up. He preferred the quiet corners of the library, where he could breathe. Kiet, on the other hand, seemed to treat university like a playground. He cracked jokes during lectures, made friends with everyone in the cafeteria, and dragged Thanakorn and Ainan to explore food stalls after class. "You can't survive on cafeteria rice alone," he declared one evening, leading them down a narrow alley to a vendor selling grilled pork skewers. "This is the real Bangkok experience." Ainan rolled his eyes but bought a skewer anyway. "You'll get sick if you keep eating street food every day." Kiet grinned. "Worth it." Thanakorn tasted the pork, smoky and sweet, and realized Kiet might be right. Their friendship solidified quickly. Thanakorn had worried about fitting in, but Kiet's humor and Ainan's quiet steadiness made him feel at ease. They studied together, often in the condo's common room. Kiet would complain loudly about assignments, Ainan would methodically work through problems, and Thanakorn would quietly take notes, occasionally offering solutions. One evening, May joined them, bringing Dao along. Dao carried a sketchbook, her fingers smudged with charcoal. She sat cross-legged on the floor, flipping through pages filled with bold, expressive drawings. "I don't understand half of what you're studying," she admitted cheerfully, "but I can draw you while you suffer." Kiet posed dramatically, pretending to faint over his textbook. Dao laughed and sketched him quickly, capturing his exaggerated expression. Mei leaned over, admiring the drawing. "You're amazing," she said softly. Dao shrugged. "It's just practice." Thanakorn watched the interaction, noticing the way Mei's eyes lingered on Dao. He smiled faintly. Mei had always been drawn to people who sparkled, and Dao sparkled brighter than most. The days passed, and Bangkok began to feel less intimidating. Thanakorn learned the bus routes, discovered quiet cafes near campus, and grew accustomed to the constant noise. He still missed Chiang Mai's mountains, but the city had its own rhythm, and he was slowly finding his place in it. One Saturday, the group decided to explore Chatuchak Market. Mei insisted it was a must-see, and Dao tagged along. The market was a maze of stalls selling everything from clothes to pets to street food. Kiet darted ahead, bargaining loudly with vendors, while Anan followed with quiet disapproval. Thanakorn stayed close to Mei and Dao, listening as they debated which earrings looked best. At one stall, Dao picked up a pair of handmade bracelets. "These are beautiful," she said, slipping one onto Mei's wrist. "It suits you." Mei blushed slightly. "You think so?" Dao smiled. "Definitely." Thanakorn looked away, giving them privacy. He felt a warmth in his chest, not from romance but from contentment. His friends were happy, and that was enough. Classes grew more intense as the semester progressed. Business administration demanded endless case studies, group projects, and presentations. Thanakorn excelled in research and analysis, though he struggled with public speaking. Mei thrived in presentations, her confidence shining. Kiet improvised his way through, often relying on humor to cover gaps. Anan delivered precise, well-structured arguments. Together, they balanced each other. One late night, they gathered in the condo to prepare for a group project. Papers were spread across the table, laptops open, snacks piled high. Kiet cracked jokes to keep spirits up, while Anan insisted on sticking to the outline. Mei argued passionately for a creative approach, Dao chimed in with design ideas, and Thanakorn quietly organized the data. At one point, Mei leaned back, sighing. "You know, we're actually a pretty good team." Anan nodded. "Different strengths. That's why it works." Kiet grinned. "And because I'm hilarious." Dao laughed. "You're not wrong." Thanakorn smiled, feeling the truth of Anan's words. They were different, but together they worked. By mid-semester, routines had formed. Thanakorn spent mornings in lectures, afternoons in the library, evenings with his roommates. Mei balanced classes with her growing friendship with Dao. Kiet joined a gaming club, though he often skipped meetings to hang out with friends. Anan joined the debate team, his serious demeanor fitting perfectly. One evening, Thanakorn returned to the condo to find Kiet and Anan arguing over a video game. "You can't just button mash," Anan insisted. Kiet laughed. "It works, doesn't it?" Thanakorn shook his head, amused. "You two are ridiculous." "Join us," Kiet urged, handing him a controller. Thanakorn hesitated, then sat down. For the next hour, they played, laughing, shouting, forgetting about assignments. It was simple, but it mattered. These moments built bonds stronger than lectures ever could. Meanwhile, Mei and Dao's connection deepened. They spent late nights talking in Dao's room, sharing noodles, listening to music. Dao showed Mei her paintings, vibrant and chaotic, while Mei shared her dreams of starting a business someday. They teased each other constantly, their laughter echoing through the hallway. One night, Dao asked softly, "Do you ever feel like you don't fit the mold? Like everyone expects you to be one thing, but you're something else?" Mei thought for a moment. "All the time. But I think that's okay. We don't have to fit. We can make our own mold." Dao smiled, eyes shining. "I like that." Thanakorn noticed the change in Mei. She was happier, lighter. He didn't ask questions, he respected her privacy, but he was glad. As the semester drew to a close, the group reflected on their journey. They had survived the chaos of Bangkok, the challenges of university, the uncertainty of new beginnings. They had built friendships that felt solid, Real point one evening, they gathered again by the Chao Phraya River. The city lights shimmered on the water, boats drifting past. May leaned against Dao, smiling. Kiet cracked jokes, Ainan rolled his eyes, Thanakorn listened quietly. "This," May said softly, "is what I wanted. Us, here, together. I feel like we're going to be friends for life." Thanakorn looked at her, then at the others. He didn't say much, but he knew she was right. This was only the beginning.